Here we are. I think we're recording. This is episode 96, and I think we have a first right now, that first being a repeat guest.
Right.
Does that make sense?
I have three-peat.
I'm sorry, that's copyrighted. We can't say three-peat here.
Can't say that?
No.
One for the thumb?
One for the thumb. Sorry,
No,
that's not allowed.
That's not even the right number.
That's right. Costaki Economopoulos is here.
Hey, man.
Hey, man. I should say thank you to Circle of Heat for letting us play their music here. This is NoLaughTrack. You knew that, and that's why you're listening. And, welcome back, man. It's Wednesday. You worked last night?
Yeah. I got my feet wet. Happy to be here. It's like a warm hug being back on the stage, so it's so nice. Happy to be back.
I look back, it was August of 2013 last time we spoke.
It's pretty recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a quick turnaround. Mm-hmm. Usually the cycle with this club is every 14 months.
Yeah, what'd you do?
Or ish, I don't know, roughly.
How did they let you in? What's that all about?
I don't know. I sent some avails, and he said, how about this? And I was like, that seems soon. And yes.
You didn't try to talk him out of it.
No, I didn't. But although I do wish that we maybe came a little later in the season for the weather.
Oh, dear God.
It was so nice recently, and then it went back to this.
We've already celebrated Easter this year, and Easter, that's the one day I remember as it being nice. I played outside with the kids and was sweating. Oh. And I have a long sleeve shirt and a jacket on today.
It's crazy.
So,
yeah. It's drizzly and yucky.
When did you get into town Monday?
Yeah, we did actually. We came from L.A. We had a crazy bunch of plan changes, and so we just came Monday and took it easy, just the two of us.
Did you do the open mic?
No, I wanted to, but I'm with the wife, and she's got 5 nights of stand-up shows. So we only had one night that wasn't. So I was like, I can't drag her to another show.
Do you drag her?
No, she loves it. But, you don't want to go 6 out of 6 nights. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, at what point is she going to be like, all right, because it's going to happen?
Yeah, that's what I keep saying.
She's going to be like, you know what? We know what's going on here. I'll meet you back at the hotel.
I'm the one who pushes that, not her. It's funny because I know that there's a little bit of a ticking clock, Oh,
it's going to happen.
I'll be on the road. We did this once. I Skyped her into the show. I set up my computer in the back of the room, and she watched the show.
Oh my God!
At home on Skype, and I was really flattered that she wanted to do that. But then, since then, she's asked several times, and I'm like, "Listen, you're gonna get sick of me and my show at some point. Why hurry that along?
Yeah, exactly.
You're home doing something else tonight. Enjoy that, and then when you're with me on the road, well, come with me and see the show. You don't have to do the extra. Watch me when you're not even in the same city. That's crazy. So she's a fan. She's very supportive. Very cool.
That couldn't be a better situation. And you said it. Wife now.
Wife. I have a wife.
Congrats.
Yeah, I'm excited. I never had a wife.
Yeah. We're going on how many months now?
It's 4.5-ish.
4.5-ish?
It was late December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we talked last, you were talking about the engagement. And I don't know, did we discuss, were there plans? Did you have plans of where and when a wedding was going to take place?
We never made plans, but we looked and tried to put plans together several times. And it's just the problem with New York, which is one of our places that we look to have a wedding, traditional wedding with a bunch of people who come and dress up for you and do the thing. It's so expensive for everybody. The hotel rooms are crazy.
Yeah,
and
right.
It's just, so we looked at maybe a destination wedding, and we looked at maybe Atlanta and maybe LA and maybe this and maybe that. We looked at a lot of different choices, and we just didn't love any of the choices. The destination wedding was the same problem. The place that we loved was all inclusive. So my knucklehead buddies couldn't pile 5 dudes in a room and skate by. They'd have to each pay an exorbitant. And some of them are in tough places financially. I'd probably lose a few of the guys that I would want the most. But my cousin, who has plenty of money, could make it. You know, that's not a trade I wanted to make.
No.
So we floundered and hesitated. And then my brother got really sick, and he couldn't make it to a wedding, even if we had a wedding. So it was like, all right, let's get married. Let's be married. And then when my brother gets well, we'll have a big party. It's kind of how we ended up concluding the whole conversation.
All right.
And then we ended up we eloped, but we had all of the basic trappings. We had a great adventurous day. We got a 1969 checker cab to drive us around. And I got a tux.
In New York?
Yep.
Okay.
I got a tux that matched the one that my dad wore. I took a picture and went to the tux place.
Now, I saw some of these pictures on Facebook this morning.
Yeah, it's a cool, like black pants, white coat.
Yeah.
With the buttons and the black tie and everything.
What did you say was what your dad wore?
Yeah.
Similar?
I loved, when we were kind of looking for themes and kind of thinking about it, I loved my dad's tux. It's such a retro, kind of funny, almost like a waiter kind of a look.
What year did he get married? What fashion was that year?
Yeah, I was born in 1969, so it was 3 or 4 years prior.
Yeah, so mid-'60s?
Yeah. So we did that, and we ended up getting married in the Met. We just snuck in and got married in a beautiful museum. It was so cool. And we ended up with, last minute, her mother was kind of sad about missing it, so she came. We had one guest and 2 photographers.
Yeah.
We had the greatest photographer to guest ratio in the history of weddings.
And your wife is a photographer.
Yeah, so she was very gung-ho about getting good pictures.
Yeah, I bet.
And we got crazy good pictures. And, we had a cake, and we had a fancy hotel room, and we did flowers, and we had some traditional things, and we did private vows later, just the 2 of us, and we had a great dinner, and it was really a great day. I wouldn't have drawn it up that way a year ago.
Yeah.
But it worked out so well. And it was so us to have it a little bit loosey-goosey. We're not sure exactly how it's going to pan out. And it was really fun. It was very New York, and it was very us, and it was casual and yet sort of special and planned enough.
Yeah.
It was a good mix.
Where's your family? Most of your family's in Georgia still,
Most of my family's Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's got family in L.A., and so there were just so many reasons not to have a traditional wedding.
Right.
And we wanted to be married sooner than later. So, if we plan something in December, then we're talking about May or June.
Spring, summer.
It was funny, we would go, when we were looking for places, we would go and say, yeah, we're looking for something maybe November, December. And they were like, 2014? We're like, no, like next month. They're like, what? Like no one ever, I don't know. I never got married before. It never occurred to me that you're supposed to do it.
Oh, I know that there's
a year and a half out.
Yeah, no, in the Twin Cities here, I know that a lot of people, they hold their weddings at like a public park, and you have to reserve an area. And there's, let's say it's January 1st each year. There's a day, 10 a.m. like an on sale for concert tickets.
Yeah,
and women mostly, of course, are. The phone's ringing off the hook, and these people are like, it's within half an hour. These places are full. They're packed.
That's
for
crazy.
all the big dates on day one.
That's really
to get
funny.
These great cheap spots outside.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So yeah,
set your calendar to that, I guess.
So yeah, we're all married and stuff. It's good.
And did you have the party yet?
No. We're gonna wait and see. My brother's doing really well, but he's having some issues. So
okay.
Yeah, we'll wait. We're not in a hurry. We're gonna do a trip for the 2 of us this summer. We're still kind of figuring that out, and we did a little bit of a non-traditional path, but we're getting it together.
Yeah. A party is fun, but it's also something great to look forward to.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's out there.
We could also do 3 mini parties. We could do like a New York one, and then an Atlanta one, and then an LA one. Right. So we'll figure it out. Yeah, we got the paperwork. She changed her name, by the way.
Not to yours.
Yes. Isn't that crazy? That's a hilarious response. Not that. Hopefully not that. Well, that's how I know she loves me.
Clearly.
Your name's Jones. You don't know for sure if that woman loves you. But
yeah, wow.
If she changes it to Economopoulos. That's love.
I remember you showed me your driver's license. It barely fits on the front.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You also told me that, let's see, you guys, I'm seeing how much I remember. You met in your building.
Yeah, that's right.
Setup from the person someone that works in the building,
yeah,
right?
the leasing lady. Blind date set up by the leasing lady.
And you both had studio apartments, and now are you still in the same building?
We're in the same building now in a 1-bedroom. It's such a New York story. We moved from separate studios into a collective 1-bedroom in the same building.
And you're staying there?
For now. We'll see. Yeah, we love that building. If we could buy in there, we would. It's a great building. But it's all leases.
the last time, so when you were here in August, that was we talked a bit about the football season was just starting, and the Metrodome was still existed. I don't have you gone by in the 2 days you've been in town?
Is it gone?
There's just a big pit there.
Wow.
Yeah, they're already constructing the new football stadium.
It's kind of sad.
It is kind of sad.
Right?
It is kind of
sad.
sad.
How long was it here?
Since 1981, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty good run.
I know.
In a modern era when everyone's itchy to get the new thing every time.
I saw online this morning they had, I assume this was new, the Silverdome is still standing in Detroit or in Michigan, whatever town it was in.
Oh.
But like the roof is almost completely gone, and they're like it's decaying on the inside.
They don't demolish it; they just leave it there,
right?
Like an old barn, and just wait for it to
Unless
crumble.
I was seeing some old video.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, this is one of the few places that's progressive and thoughtful enough to try to not pay for the new stadium. Right? Mm-hmm. Ultimately, the public lost, but they tried to not pay for it.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. There was plenty of fights.
Most cities, nobody blinks. They're like, yeah, of course. Stick it to the taxpayer. And this place is like, well, that's not fair.
Yeah.
At least there was a debate.
Well, what if I don't go? I don't even like football. That's stupid.
It's all good points.
Did I see that Super Bowl? Did you go to
I didn't go to the game. But I had a non-game media pass, so I went to everything else. It was so cool. It's just, I mean, for a football nerd like me, it's just I'm just a kid in a candy store. I'm just wandering around like, hey, there's Michael Vick.
And you had done it before, right?
Yeah, it was my second time.
Okay.
It was so cool. And it was in my hometown.
Right.
I just took the train down to the Radio Row and wandered around with all the big shots. You know, Dan Marino's there and Emmitt Smith and I mean fill in the blank. And not only the football gods, but the football commentator gods, right? Like Chris Berman and I chatted, and you know, you're just in the mix with all these faces that you know from your little nerd pursuits. And it's just fun. And for me, I have a podcast called Quick Snaps, and it's a radio segment, as you know. So I'm running around hustling and pitching the radio segment to exactly the right population. So there's 100-something stations from all over the country in one room broadcasting live back to their home environments about the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And there's me wandering around with my backpack on going, hey, you guys want some football jokes? And some of the time they say yes.
Yeah?
It's really fun.
Did anyone accept you on the air that you were kind of surprised?
Yeah, I had a few of those. The one that was the most interesting
Radio Africa.
Yeah. Actually, I did do Australia. The Australians were kind of not sure about me, but then loved the jokes, you know, so that was great.
Yeah.
I forget his name. The guy in Denver that's sort of all the fame from the ESPN shows. The older guy who's funny and quirky and weird.
Not Tom Jackson.
No. Tom Jackson I saw too. No, the one that was on all those Around the Horn shows.
Oh, yeah. I can't think of his name.
Woody.
Yeah, Woody, not Hayes. Woody.
Right. That's funny. That's a sports name.
Yeah, it is.
So I chatted with Woody, and he was like, yeah. I gave him sort of the pitch. I was sort of in pitch mode.
Right.
And he just kind of stopped me, and he goes, I say yes. And I go, oh. And he goes, isn't that nice? And I go, yes, that is nice. What time's good for you, Woody? He goes, come by between 3 and 5, and we'll have you on. He was very calm, like easygoing dude. So I come by then, and he's got Dick Vermeil on.
Okay.
And then I'm waiting. And then Jesse Jackson. So it was Woody and Dick Vermeil and Jesse Jackson cock-blocking me from being on the radio. This is the problem with this kind of event. Like they'll literally say yes to me, and then they get Steve Young.
Yeah.
And then when I come by, they go, yeah, it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
So
this guy's in the Hall of Fame. What you got?
Right. Yeah, we'll see you later.
I have an interview with him I could play for you. Oh, wait, you just talked to him. No, never mind.
So I did 15, 20, 25 different places. It's so much fun. But yeah, you definitely get bumped for giants.
Yeah.
I get that. I understand. It's such an adventure. I loved it. I was there every day for a week running around and watching and listening and being a part of the whole scene. It was awesome.
And your Falcons obviously were nowhere to be seen.
I was when you looked at notes for August, I was like, oh, maybe he has a Falcons prediction. He's going to hurt my feelings or something. That's the first thing I thought of.
Well, you know what? I do remember you saying how they turned down being on Hard Knocks because they were going to concentrate on
right.
On
well, good thing they did that. Didn't ruin their season. Thank God.
Right.
Well, it's funny because if they were on Hard Knocks, then that would be the excuse for going. Was it 4-12?
How convenient, yeah.
They're picking 6th. They didn't do well.
Oh, it's funny. It's very funny. Are you doing some NFL films? What did I see?
I just taped the thing. They do a show called Top 10. You know this? Mm-hmm. Where it's Top 10 best defenses of all time, or Top 10 fantasy seasons ever, or Top 10 quarterbacks that never went to a Super Bowl. You know, it's kind of a fun show, and they have very short sort of commentating by characters, either the athletes themselves or coaches, or like sports jocks, or me, apparently. So the exciting thing for me is they found me. Like, they reached out to me and were like, hey, you're a football comic, right? We'd love to have you on. And I was like, oh, not only is this a dream thing for me to get to do, but it proves that my name is bubbling up in these universes now. So I'm really excited about it. And doing the show is super fun.
Yeah.
So it so speaks to my strengths. We did 5 shows that are top 10 shows, and there's 10 subjects and then some bonus subjects. So there's like 14 subjects times 5 times, and then they do refresher shows. Like this year they'll take the show Best Defenses of All Time, and then they put the Legion of Boom in there. So they refresh things with new versions once in a while too.
Very cool.
So we did several of those as well. So it was really, it's so cool. And in prepping for the show, I watched a bunch of them, and I watched a bunch of segments from different ones just to kind of get a feel for how they flow and what they're looking for. It is a great show. Do you know the show, Top 10 or whatever?
Yeah, I have seen it.
It's so well done. So in that regard, it's kind of fun too, because I've been in and out of show business for a long time, and to get to do something that's really good at what it is, even though my part in it is tiny.
Sure.
But I get to be a tiny part of a great thing that's out there in the world.
Uh-huh.
So I'm really excited about it. NFL Films they're so good at what they do.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a nice little feather in my cap.
Hell
and it
yeah.
helps me get some sports cred, you know?
For sure.
Yeah.
Honestly, you should be walking around every day now with a NFL hat or shirt or...
I did have an NFL phone case that I got in my swag bag from the media stuff.
Oh.
I had that everywhere I went for a while. My daughter was like, NFL. What's that, Dad? Yeah, okay.
Whoa. And what, she's like 5 now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's time to change that.
Yeah, she's got to learn the game.
Yeah.
So does my wife.
Yeah. You know what you need to do? You start with the it can be a geography lesson as well.
That's
Go
a
with,
good
you know,
point.
the city states along with the identify them on the map.
Right.
And then their mascot. And then you go to like past football towns. Okay, now we have Baltimore.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the Ravens, Daddy. But what else, honey? Well, the Colts were there from... See?
Good luck with that.
They moved to Indianapolis in 1985.
I took my wife to draft day this week, yesterday. So, yeah.
Oh, that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I felt like I had to see it. I didn't even want to because I heard it was bad.
Yeah.
But I had to see it because it would be referenced next week when I'm making radio calls, and I didn't want to say, I know I hadn't seen it.
Right.
But it was fun because at the end, my wife was like, oh, now I understand how the draft works. Like, she's at least gets some of the details now. So
I'm not interested, honey, but I understand how.
Right, yeah. At one point in the movie, have you seen it?
No.
At one point, the Jennifer Garner character is kind of the love interest of Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
So at one point, he says to her, can we talk just football for a second? And she goes, yes, anytime. And I turn to my wife, and she goes, no chance. It's a really funny moment.
That's perfect. That is absolutely perfect. Oh, boy. Do you have any? What do you think about the draft? So that's coming up next week. You'll be doing.
Yeah, it's so fascinating to me. It gets better ratings than the NFL draft has better ratings than the NBA playoffs. Isn't that an astounding stat?
Yes, and I guess I'm not surprised because I'm more likely to watch the draft at least one
Well, I
day.
am too, but I just assumed I was an outlier. I didn't know. It's so well done. Again, it's well produced, and ESPN covers it so well, and it is exciting. And then they connect it to the stories of the past that make it exciting. You know, Cutler wasn't the first quarterback picked that year, but he is the best out of that pile. And because Tom Brady's story they bring up every year, he was picked like 199th or something. Yeah. It's fun. It's a grand adventure, and it really does change lives. Those guys, sort of the die is cast for the next few years for them. Do they fit in that system? Do they explode? Do they blossom? Do they shrink? Do they fail? Do they beat their wives? What happens next? It's cool, and you always root for your team to do something well, and sometimes that happens. And
Who is your team? Is it
I'm a Falcons guy, so
just the Falcons, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I knew that, but you haven't adopted a New York team.
I haven't. I try to like them. My podcast partner is a Giants fan, so it was fun this year to bust his balls because they were so terrible until the Falcons got so terrible too.
It was a bad year for. Remember, you're sitting with a Vikings fan.
Yeah, right. It's a tough run.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So I'm trying to like the Jets. I like Rex Ryan's colorful, funny character and
fetishes.
Well, the Jets this year are going to be interesting. They got Michael Vick and Chris Johnson. So they got faster and dumber.
Which one's which? I'm sorry. No. We know which one's
No, they're both fast and dumb. Chris Johnson said he's looking forward to the next chapter, which is a weird metaphor for him. I have a hard time imagining him reading a book.
There aren't chapters in magazines.
No, the draft I think it's great. We should find a way to make it more appealing to my wife. Can we choose these guys by giving them a rose, maybe?
No.
Is there something? Yeah. We got to tweak it somehow. Is there a swimsuit competition or a talent portion?
That's right. No more ball caps.
Something different.
No more obnoxiously bright ball caps that they give these guys. You ever notice that? Like the hats,
Yes.
like these are the brand new, right off the truck.
Right.
These are going to be the new ones for the next season.
Not
They're
creased.
always ugly.
Preposterously bright colors, and then they never go with a guy wearing a suit.
No.
It looks ridiculous.
Right, because these guys are always dressed to the nines with their,
right.
with their teal suit,
Right.
pinstripes.
Yeah, that's right. The NFL. Here's my favorite joke. The NFL draft has been held annually since 1936, like Abe Vigoda's penis. Happy birthday, Abe.
I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
That's perfect. Did you? Now this guy isn't going to get drafted, but did you hear the latest of our? Well, you must know a little about Florida State football.
A little bit.
They play. You like Georgia, right?
Yep, and that's where my parents met, so I kind of like Florida State a little extra.
Oh, they met at the school.
Yeah, my dad was there on a scholarship from Greece, and my mom was a young whippersnapper, and they met at an ice cream social, a mixer for foreign students.
Oh, really?
Yeah, isn't that sweet?
What was his scholarship?
He came on a Fulbright scholarship to go to graduate school.
Oh,
he had an
wow.
undergrad, so he came to study sociology.
Wow.
Yeah, impressive character. He was only 5'8", but he left a long shadow. I'm still trying to live up to that guy.
Now, and you're a comedian. No, well, I was going to bring up Florida State quarterback. Did you hear about Jameis Winston?
Wait, he stole something?
What's
he doing?
He was issued a citation Tuesday for shoplifting crab legs.
Crab legs? Is that really?
At a
I did read
Publix.
that.
Yeah.
What is the matter with him?
And for people that don't know, he won this Heisman Trophy, which is the top honor for
Right.
college football players just last season.
And he allegedly lifted some other things last year.
Yeah, yes, the previous run-ins with the law, he was investigated for alleged rape.
Mm-hmm.
No joking around there. But the state attorney declined to bring charges because of lack of evidence. And then in November, the AP reported that Winston was questioned about his involvement in a long-running BB gun battle, and that a Burger King reported Winston was stealing soda in a ketchup cup. What?
It's just insane.
A ketchup cup isn't those little, like, 2-ounce things, are they?
Now, before I go on a tirade here, let me say it is possible that when you're famous, people accuse you of crazy things because they want attention. All that's possible.
Sure, like when you said you didn't want my picture with any black people on it.
Yeah, that's what I said. But most of the time, it's a dumbass kid who's doing a stupid thing. All you got to do is not blow it.
Right.
And the world is yours. Mm-hmm. What are you doing? There was a kid who was a top draft prospect. Last week he got a DUI. All you got to do is not fuck up for a month, and you're a millionaire.
Yeah.
Nope, can't do it. What? It's just astounding to me. Jameis, they're going to bring all this up when they're going to talk about drafting you. Stealing crab legs might cost you $400,000. You pay for your crab legs.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Go crabbing yourself. You live in Florida.
You're Jameis Winston. You can't swing some free crab legs somewhere?
Right. Like he walks into a Red Lobster, they're not going to be like, hey, look who's here.
Well, the problem is, of course, I don't know his particular story, but so many of these kids, they come from broken homes and they're coddled.
Yeah.
Because if you're a professional athlete, think about what a stud you are at every level before that. If you wind up in the NFL, think how good you were compared to your brethren in middle school, right?
Oh, yeah.
And high school and college. You're coddled and sort of pushed through at every turn, right? So, of course, their brains are scrambled, and when they get a lot of attention, they don't handle it well. I'm surprised there aren't more of these crazy stories, actually. Knuckleheads.
I just love it. Crab legs.
It's so random. It's going to haunt him. They're going to bring this up every time they talk about him now.
Poor guy.
Well,
besides the fact his name is spelled incorrectly. I mean, that's a whole other issue.
Well, Johnny Football he has to answer this, did he sign his signature for money thing forever?
Yeah.
We don't even know whether or not that happened, but he put that in the mix when he could have avoided it. Why?
Do you just mentioned Johnny Manziel, and I watched I had to turn it off, and I want to know what you think about this, that John Gruden, talking quarterbacks, John Gruden's quarterback camp.
Yeah, I want to see that. I didn't see it this time.
Yeah, do you like?
I love Gruden. I think he's great.
Yeah.
So is he right? I don't know, but he's a big fan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. He's a little too much for me.
It would be fun to go back and see if he was right about the other guys. Mm-hmm. Right?
Oh yeah.
They never do that. That's something we do on our podcast. It's like a running gag. We make bold predictions, and the next week we replay them and give each other shit for them not happening.
Within a week?
Yeah. But like we'll predict, whatever. Calvin Johnson gets 3 touchdowns against the Jaguars on Sunday, and then the podcast is Monday, and so we know if it happened or not.
Sure.
The professional guys never do that, ever, never. They never go back and reassess how it went. Right? Like I would love to see the clip with Gruden talking about Tim Tebow.
Sure.
Did he love Tebow too?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't either. That is a good question. What else? Tell me more about the podcast, because I don't know that was in full gear when you.
You know what? That might have started since I talked to you.
Yeah.
We started it in August, and
see.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we hit our stride. September with the season. We went from 0 to tens to hundreds to thousands of listeners. And now it's every week during the season and about once a month on the off season. So, we did one a month ago around the flurry of trades.
Yeah.
And we did one for the combine, and we'll do one for the draft. And then it picks up to be weekly in mid-August again and runs straight through the Super Bowl. So it's me and Aaron Hodges, my partner, and we talk football, and it's mostly joke-driven. It's the NFL jokes and then some guy talk and ball busting and some other stuff too. It's great. It's great fun. We try to keep it short. Try to keep it around 25 minutes, 30 minutes. So we don't want it to be too indulgent and rambly. And it's a no guest format. not that there's anything wrong with guests, but we just want it to be a different thing. So many podcasts are so guest driven.
Sure.
Ours is a different beast. So it's been great.
I read a few of the reviews on iTunes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, one of them said, it's the perfect length for my drive home.
Oh, yeah, nice. That's funny. Yeah, it's good to have a practical review.
Just for you, sir, I knew you had a 25-minute drive. Those people with 30 minutes, screw you.
But the director of the NFL films referenced it several times and even requested jokes from it for different subjects in his show.
Really?
Yeah. He was like, can you do the one about and I forgot it. And then we would rebuild it and then I would deliver it on camera. It was amazing. So it's cool to me because I love podcasts, but I came to them late.
Yeah.
So I hope that that's what's happening with the rest of the world too. Because I love, I just drink them in when I'm playing cards or walking through airports. Or, it's Mark Maron and Rich Eisen and Jimmy Pardo and Freakonomics. And there's so many great ones. And the great thing about podcasting is that you can narrowcast them, right? Mm-hmm. If you want to listen to a podcast about the business of photography, that exists. Oh, yeah. You can't find that in mainstream media. But if you want to listen to a podcast that's a guy doing football jokes, that exists.
Yeah.
There's no space for that you can't have a full show of that on ESPN.
No, it just wouldn't happen.
But if you want something that specific, and you can listen to it whenever you want, and it's free, and podcasts are a beautiful form. I hope that they continue to blow up.
For my day job over at the radio station, we had on, we had a guest on who's described as the king of daytime television. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't, no offense to this guy, he's very successful, has had a long career, made a lot of money. I can't stand daytime television. I just think there's nothing.
Soap opera actor or news?
No,
reporter?
It was Maury Povich.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But he's fine. I have nothing against Maury.
Right.
Good for him. I can't watch his show.
Yeah.
It's just not for me.
But who's
nothing
the dad?
on daytime
you don't
television?
Know who the dad is?
Huh?
You don't want to know who the dad is?
They never find out. In fact, we're going to get to this in a second. But I want to. I wrote something down related to this. It just occurred to me that I did this. But my planning ahead actually accidentally worked out here. That was a happy accident right there. That's what that's called. In any case, just my opinion, for me, daytime television is just it rots your fucking brain.
Right.
I don't want to watch a soap opera. I don't want to watch a bad talk show that's probably geared towards women.
Right.
I don't want to watch a judge show. I don't want to watch reruns of a show that I didn't watch when I was in my teens.
Yeah, all good points.
I don't want to watch any of that stuff.
Right.
Podcasting is. I listen to podcasts in the afternoon. When I have time. It's the perfect entertainment.
Yeah.
I can sit at home. I can do other things around the house.
That's the thing. They're a perfect accompaniment to something.
Yeah,
right.
I can do other things. I can do other work for my day job, or depending on which podcast it is, I can have it on when my kids are around.
Right. Right.
Not everything goes. I'm not that type of parent. So, but back to Maury Povich. This was we did talk to him on the radio today, and this stuck out to me on his website. I want your opinion on this. And this is what you said. Who's the father? I don't want do I have enough curiosity to sit around and find out who the father is? This was posted on Maury's website this morning. And I'm not mocking him by saying this, but I just want your opinion. This was a follow-up, apparently, from yesterday's episode of Maury. Costaki, do you believe Kim's search for her sons and daughters' father will end today?
Oh, I do.
You think it will? With no background, do you think it will? Because I'll tell you the poll results.
Oh, there's a poll?
Yeah, it was a poll.
I say yes.
Well, that was the least popular answer.
Oh.
That it would end today was the least popular answer. 45% of the people that responded to this poll, will Kim search for this her son and daughter's father? Will that end today? 45% said she'll continue searching. So that's what they're dealing with.
It's important subjects. Don't they get the top 3 answers on the board? Don't they come in and do the test? You think that would solve the
Well, explain this one to me. So it said 45% said she's going to have to, or old Kim's going to have to continue searching. 25% said she'll find the son's father, and only 3% said she'll find the daughter's father.
Oh, well, there's clearly some story here that we didn't get.
Yeah.
There's a gap there.
Someone is apparently much more elusive.
Well, I hope Kim gets what she wants, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm. I hope Kim gets what she wants, too.
Yikes. Isn't Maury Povich married to Connie Chung?
Mm-hmm.
Where'd she go?
I don't know.
How weird that her career fizzled and his blossomed. What the hell's happening with the world?
Yeah, she was a very popular newscaster when there weren't many. You could say. Now there's CNN and Fox, and there's,
Right.
4 dozen TV personalities we could all name.
Yeah, you'd think there'd be a space for Connie Chung somewhere.
Yeah, Connie.
What's happening?
Connie.
Whatever era, I don't even know how long ago that was. 12 years ago?
Probably. 15,
you would never
maybe.
Bet on Maury to be the breadwinner in 12 years.
No.
Right?
She was doing the nightly news.
You'd think Maury's show would come and go, and Connie would be on for 40 years.
Right. I think at the same time, while she was doing the filling in for, Dan Rather or whatever it was, he was hosting A Current Affair, wasn't he?
Dan Rather?
No,
Maury. Yeah, of course.
I like to do these now. I don't think I did this last time you were here. I like to put in like a word on Google and then like a phrase and then have it autocomplete.
Okay.
And then I'm going to get your opinion on these. So in your case, this each week I do have it to tie into the guest.
Okay, all right.
So for this week's, I put Greeks are, and then I had it, where it does the autocomplete. Like, what could my choices? They're guessing. What am I going to search here? So the top 3 that came up, and these are all based on previous searches of other people. Sure, yeah, guess. Feel free. There's 3 of them. These were the top 3. Greeks are. Fill in the blank.
These are based on your prior searches?
No, on people that use Google. Googlers. What would people be searching on Google? Greeks are. I will say they're not all flattering.
Yeah, no, I bet. So one of them has to be something associated with development of alphabet, Olympics, like Greeks are something like that.
No.
Pioneers, inventors.
Nothing. Oh, winning is one of them, I'll tell you that.
Greeks are winning?
Winning. Yeah, I don't know.
Winning what?
I don't know. That's the closest one.
Not
I could
winning
tie into
economically.
what you just said.
Greeks are gay has got to be one of them, right?
Why would that be?
I don't know. There's just like this. I think you get a few stories of Spartan gay lovers, and you just assume all ancient Greeks were gay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That wasn't a tease that you got when you were a kid, was it?
No, that's more of an adult concept that Greeks are associated with some man-boy love thing. As a kid, I got just Snuffleupagus, and my ears were big, so I got Dumbo and crazy. I got crazy name hell, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Greeks are what? What's
one of them is stupid. That was the second one.
What?
Yeah.
Greeks are stupid?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you can't figure out why that would be.
That's preposterous.
Okay, preposterous.
Well, I mean...
And then...
Who searches for that?
Yeah. I have no idea. It wasn't me. And then number 1, Greeks are rude.
Greeks are rude?
Rude.
That one, at least I can understand where that comes from.
Because?
Well, Greeks are passionate and loud and gregarious and not subtle as a group, right? So you could, if you're a lily white guy, you could see that as rude. Yeah. If that's in your face.
Sure.
I understand that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm okay with that one.
You okay with that one?
Yeah. Greeks are stupid is kind of weird to me, I guess.
Is there a relative or anything that pops into your head?
For rude or stupid?
Either. Must be.
I don't. It's funny. My family isn't quite as loud and gregarious as sort of the traditional image of Greeks. But yeah, there are times when I'd be in Greece with my family, and they're passionate. Like when Greeks argue about something, it's almost like rugby players, where they go at each other as hard as they can, and then when the match is over, they're all friends and they drink beer. You know what I mean? Like here, if you and I had a really heated argument about politics, we might not be as friendly in the next 10 minutes after that.
Yeah.
But that's not true for Greeks. They really go at each other hard, and then they sort of accept that that's what they're doing, and then they're friendly again.
That's a good way to blow off steam.
Yeah, and to commit to your argument.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you and I might pull back a little bit to be polite. Not so much for Greeks.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. I don't even know if maybe I should have asked you about this beforehand, but hey, I'm going to hit it with you right now.
All right.
I did a search of your name this morning on the Google. Actually, I used.
How's
Bing.
it looking?
I used Bing this time, actually.
Oh.
I don't remember. I don't remember ever seeing this. You did something, and it's. By the way, your website looks really nice now.
Oh, thanks, man.
Because I know that you talked about it was getting an upgrade.
Oh, yeah.
Last time.
Yeah, we finally turned the corner on that. Now it's nice.
Costaki. It's just Costaki.com.
Costaki.com. And as long as we're doing a plug, you can get a free download of an album.
I was going to ask you.
Just for putting your email address in. I'm building a list.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So
free album.
And that's your newest one?
Yeah. Well, it is my newest one, but it's been a while. Yeah. So, yeah.
Hey.
Because I've done a couple things since then that weren't stand-up albums. So it's my most recent stand-up album.
Okay.
And I will warn you, it has a lot of adult themes. That's definitely the dirtiest one I've released, which is fun. But yeah, it's good.
That's awesome. Yeah, the website looks very nice. And when I don't have a copy of that one, so I'm going to sign up and get my free copy.
Yeah, do that.
But you have a link to this on your website, this thing from the New York Times?
Oh, yeah.
About money?
It was a really interesting article.
Can you give me some background on this and describe?
The New York Times, I forget his name. You have it there?
Jason Zinnemann?
Yeah.
Megan Angelo?
Yeah, Jason has been following comedy really closely for a long time. And he loves stand-up, and he knows about it at a level that a casual journalist would never know. So he wanted to write about the income streams for comics. And he called me one day, and he was finding comics from different walks of life, because there's so many different ways to be a professional comedian. Sure. And ultimately in the article, as you see there, he ended up with a cruise ship comic who I sent him to. He ended up talking to a friend of mine. So and he found like a city comic, and I ended up being the road comic.
Yeah,
the guy
Kurt Metzger was one of the names. He's
right,
and he was sort of the what did they describe him as? The comedy cellar regular.
Yeah, right. So, and he had another example of like someone who's sweating it out, barely surviving, and he had Kurt, who's sort of like a big city comic who's doing really well in that universe, and he had another guy who's like had success in like internet interstitials or something. So he found all these different walks of life that comics live in, and he interviewed them about their income streams and how it works. He's a really fascinating journalist. He I don't want to maybe reveal too much about him, but he was in a place many years ago where everyone was kind of being exploited they just assumed they were all exploited at the same level.
Okay.
And they had a lunch one time, and they all revealed their salaries, and they were wildly different from each other. And so his theory is this sort of polite thing of not talking about money keeps people oppressed by the people who pay the money, because they don't know what each other is making.
Yeah.
So his theory is, let's talk about it more frankly. And then there's more sort of a democratic process. Then it becomes more even and merit-based.
Yeah.
So this is his sort of philosophical theory prior to this article.
That makes sense.
And it was a really interesting guy. I talked to him for maybe 4 or 5 hours over the course of a couple of weeks. And I ended up being sort of his representative of like the old school road dog who goes out and makes his living in clubs in middle America.
Yeah. And you've hit all 50 states now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was actually
I
was a good choice. And I've had enough radio exposure that I can make a decent living, whereas some of my brethren don't have as much radio exposure and they're struggling more. So anyway, I was a good sort of I guess by comedian standards, sort of an upper middle class comic.
So were you apprehensive about talking about how much money?
Yeah, absolutely. And I discussed this with my now wife at length, sort of about whether or not.
Should I add 20,000?
Yeah. It's funny. Because I liked his idea. I think that's true. I was uncomfortable about revealing these sort of numbers. But I also love the idea of being in a New York Times article, Mm-hmm. And so I was kind of balancing all those sort of various factors, and my buddy Al Romas ended up doing this article too. He actually called me later. He goes, "I can't believe you make more than me." And it's by like a hair.
Suck it.
And it's probably not true, actually. The way that he's paid is different. And Jason reported my gross income, not my net. So it's a little bit misleading.
Sure.
Because if you make $2,000 and it costs you $600 to get there, you didn't make $2,000. You made $1,400. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Anyway, in the end, I was like, who cares? It's a noble thing. I love the New York Times. Let's do it. And ended up getting the lead photo in the article and everything. So it was kind of a fun thing.
Any other comics give you some feedback on that? Like, why'd you do that? Or that's really cool? Or
I got all that. It was weird how much feedback I got. I got, wow, I can't believe you make so much. And I got, wow,
I thought you were doing better.
Yeah, I got both of those. I got both sides of that. And I also got, why would you tell anybody about how Sirius works? You know? Because that's become a big part of my income stream, actually.
Is having things air on.
When they air you on Sirius, they pay you royalties for that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, for me, not to get too heady about it, but I am kind of I believe in the community of what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And I didn't get into this for the money in the first place.
Right.
So if some kid reading this story is growing into a comic and learns to be a little bit more savvy about this or that great.
Yeah.
I love that. I agree with the premise that more information is better for all of us eventually. So I kind of embraced it intellectually and winced a little bit about revealing things and was like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, I think it's really neat that you did that.
Yeah.
And brave, So there's a level of that, I think, because I would, you know what? I'll say this about myself because when I went and was meeting with my divorce lawyer, a few years ago, in any case, and I had to tell him how much money I was making.
Right.
And I met him because he was advertising on the radio station. Like he came in, wants to cut a new commercial, and I was like, hey,
right.
My name's Justin. I work here. I might be needing your services soon. And then, whatever. So eventually, I became a client, and when we were talking about how much money I make, and he obviously knows what I do for a living.
Yeah.
There was like an uncomfortable.
Isn't it weird?
And he's like, I would have thought.
Yeah.
You would like, oh, well, you know what? Yeah, I would have thought I'd make a little more money too, but
it's radio, dude.
I'm having fun. I'm getting by. Funny. I do other stuff to. Like I'm happy.
Right.
But thanks, man.
But but whether you make a lot or a little, there's an uncomfortable moment when you reveal it to anybody. But,
I'm not going to say it here.
But that's a cultural thing because Greeks don't have that. To go back to Greeks will openly ask you how much you paid for your house and think nothing of it.
Yeah.
Americans would never ask you how much you paid for your house.
No.
So it's just a cultural gap. I mean, we have that uncomfortableness. It doesn't mean you have to have that. Why would you?
Right.
Right. So
I'm surprised I just found that story now, so I'm glad I brought that up. That's very interesting.
And that guy is a thoughtful writer. You can search him and read some other stuff.
I plan to now. What I think he should do a follow-up, like 5 years later. Hey, we've met up with Costaki again, and
things are not going well.
According, they did like a what's it called, the price inflation. Well, due to inflation, he's actually.
I actually pitched him another story idea that he talked to Lewis about what it is to run a comedy club. Mm-hmm. What does it take? What's the process? How hard is it? What are the hidden things that no one's ever thought about?
Well, he can get behind me in the interviews from Lewis because we want him on this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Badly.
He's already refused that.
Of course. Yeah. Oh, that'd be so interesting. Please, Lewis.
People have, I don't want to kiss his ass too much, but people have no idea what goes into running a comedy club. It's so much harder than anybody thinks it is. And it's almost like being a good comic. When you do it well, you rob yourself of the credit for it because you make it look easy. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. And Lewis absolutely does that.
Yeah.
I wish they were all like Lewis.
One last thing about this, the salary article here. It says $5 residuals from Last Comic Standing.
Isn't that funny?
Is that still? When's the last time you saw one of those?
I haven't gotten one in a while. I guess it got down to close enough to zero. They don't send them anymore. There's a bar in L.A. called Residuals. It used to be walking distance from my house. And if you go in there with a check for less than $1, they give you a free drink and they put it on the wall.
No way.
Yeah, and it's like hundreds of checks for like 37 cents or all over the walls. It's really funny.
Is there any names on there that people would recognize? Do you have any idea?
I haven't been there in forever, I'm sure. Yeah.
Bill Murray, 60 cents.
Yeah. They just sold Last Comic Standing to Sri Lanka.
Yeah, that's right.
Here's 14 cents.
But we're paying you in Sri Lankan money, whatever that is. Yeah, Last Comic. Well, congratulations on your $5 receipt.
Yeah, right? Show business, baby.
Did you let those stack up, or do you bring them in one at a time?
I do occasionally get checks that are puzzling to me. I don't do much because I'm mostly a comic.
Yeah.
But if you have a bigger footprint in show business, you get weird checks all the time. Sometimes you're disappointed, and sometimes you're just like, wee,
My favorite story about the residual checks was Emo Phillips gets one. He showed one once on TV. It was for 3 cents for being in Weird Al's movie UHF. I love that one.
3 cents.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's astounding that they even print that. It must be some legal requirement.
Apparently. Well, we're almost out of time, Costaki. See, 3 times and it flies by.
Pleasure.
It just gets easier. What else is going?
We found some new subjects.
No shot. Hey, I do my research, man.
It's good. It's nice when your subject gets married between the last.
Yeah.
Makes it a little easier.
Yeah, don't get divorced. We don't need to talk about
yeah, the next one.
No. Like, make it a good next step, not a bad one, please. What? Anything else we should be talking about though in the next year that you've got going on?
We did the plugs. Watch for me on the NFL Film Show Top 10. Check out my website and get a free CD by joining the email list.
That's huge.
And the podcast is Quick Snaps, and it's also on the Tom Bernard Show.
Yes, Tom Bernard Podcast.
The podcast, and it's got several independent homes. It's on Bob and Tom, and it's a podcast, and we're growing. We're going to do more memes this year, and
yeah, good.
I'm building this little cottage industry, so it's exciting. It's the first time I've done something that's not stand-up exactly.
Yeah.
That I can't wait to do more of. That like I've got some resonance from the universe that like, oh, this is working.
Yeah,
it's fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Congratulations. Man. Things are looking good.
Yeah, things are looking good.
Well, all I can say is continued success, and don't screw it up. Okay.
Worst pep talk ever. Exactly the pep talk I need, sadly. But yes,
it's the same one. I actually I sold that to Mike Yo for tonight. He's the head coach of the Minnesota Wild. Game 7. He's going to do that.
Don't screw it up.
Yeah. Don't fuck this up, guys.
Well, good luck with that. I see you're wearing the jersey, you nerd.
That's right. From one nerd to another. You're welcome.
Thanks, man.